Welcome back to MotionPic Recap. Today we're going to recap the comedy, action, and adventure movie titled Cutthroat Island. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In the Caribbean in 1668, a man tells a woman called Morgan that he wants her so badly again, but that the governor does as well, who pays well for the capture of a pirate. She responds that she's sorry, but that she took his balls. Two men are seen riding with her, and one of them says her father has been looking for her. On a ship, a man called Dog tells another man called Henry that he wants his piece of the map. Henry says it is in his head, and decides to jump. Morgan screams seeing her father jumping, and dives down to save him. She manages, and swims to shore. Morgan says Dog will pay for this, but her father says to let him be, adding his crew and his ship the Morning Star is now hers, ordering her to shave his head. Somewhere else a man is told by the governor to go and dance with a lonely woman in the hall, but says he thinks she's unattractive, and the governor replies so is he. Some other man presenting himself as William says she's stunning and begins to dance with her. Explaining he's a doctor, she says he must know the human body very well, and he says she's right, all ins and outs. Suddenly he leaves, but is stopped. The man introduces himself as Lieutenant Trotter, and while shaking hands, women begin to scream that they are missing their jewelry. William tries to run, but is immediately captured. Somewhere at sea, Morgan is drinking rum. Being stoned, she goes up to speak to the crew, saying her father wished her as captain, saying as he died he left them a map. She can't read it, so the one man who can read tries, but notes it's Latin, which he doesn't understand. She adds there are 3 pieces of this map. One owned by her uncle Mordecai, one owned by her, and the last by Dog. She asks if they are with her to find the treasure. The crew looks to Quartermaster Blair since he's in charge. He says they'll give Morgan a chance, and she says they will go to Port Royal to find someone who reads Latin. Once there, they have dressed up as rich folks, and a younger boy comes running, saying he found someone speaking Latin for them, but that he is a prisoner. A man is speaking to William, saying he hopes he likes pain, because he's going to buy him. Suddenly Morgan appears, asking if it is he who knows Latin. He responds by saying a sentence in Latin. Asking what he said, he replies he'd like to wash her feet, and she says he should start by washing his mouth. Later that day, people are bidding for his ass. The man from before yells to Morgan he will have William at any price, and that if she's buying him for pleasure he will gladly help her for free. She tires of it all, walking up to him and puts a knife in a not so comfortable spot, telling him to leave. She wins the bid, but when trying to get back to the port, they are stopped by British soldiers. They split up and an intense hunt ensues. Morgan tries to get William and herself out of there, and they are forced to perform a variety of different stunts to evade the guards. Having put some to sleep, they hoist themselves up onto a roof, but when shot at as they are running, they are forced to jump down again. Morgan takes off her dress, after which they hijack a horse-drawn carriage. While trying to fight off the guards that risk their lives for their petty wages, jumping onto the carriage, William yells at them to stop, that they can't hit a woman. Driving through a marketplace where a funeral procession is taking place. Trotter and his men are chasing, but are not that good at it. From the port a Navy officer yells to his crew to stop the pirates by firing at them. After some intense shots at them, William remarks she surely left her marks on this town. The governor tells Trotter he'll get a captaincy if he captures her. Morgan and William meet up with the others, and while getting back to the ship in the carriage, they introduce themselves to each other. Morgan tells William she will show him something, and if he reveals it to any other man, he will wish he was dead. William replies he has actually seen one before, thinking of something else. She shows him the map, and as he says he wants to be set free if he is going to help, she picks up something sharp to threaten him with. But in the mirroring image of the knife, she notices the words are backwards, and they start to read it, but it only cites Psalms with the numbers 11, 75 and 42. Back at Port Royal, they have managed to catch one of Morgan's men. The governor tells the man called John that he wants him to help capture Captain Morgan, threatening that he might otherwise end up like these poor fellas here. That night, the crew arrives at another town on the island. The young boy says her uncle Mordecai is up in that house with his guards. Morgan asks a woman how much she wants for her dress. Soon after, she tells the guards that Captain Mordecai sent for her since his turtle has its needs. They search her, But she stops them, saying that will cost money. Mordecai also thinks she's a whore at first, but quickly recognizes that she is his niece. She says she has her father's map and that the treasure is theirs if he's willing to help her get Dog. Thinking a bit, he says he will help her. She gets happy, but when they leave, they are suddenly attacked. Dog appears, remarking Morgan has really become a woman since he saw her last time, and then says hello to Mordecai, calling him brother. While Dog tries to get her to reveal where the map is, William tries to create a distraction. The powder is lit and a big epic fight starts between the crews of the three brothers. Dog threatens to kill Mordecai if he doesn't get his map, but someone bumps into them and he's stabbed. Dog kills the man for killing his brother. William sees Mordecai crawling towards something, and takes up a piece of wood with carvings on it. Dog takes a shot at Morgan, and she's hit. William says he was taught fencing by a master in Vienna, but never learned how to kill a man, so she has to help him. They flee outside, but are soon cornered. From nowhere, suddenly more pirates from her crew appear, starting to helping them out. They jump down from the burning platform and try to run away. Morgan sees the young boy in her crew and helps him out, noticing a sign, and asks William if he remembers what the numbers on the map were again. He repeats them, and she remarks they must be latitude coordinates. William yells she has now destroyed 2 towns in one day. That morning, John greets them, asking Morgan if she's okay since she seems hurt. She says it's only a scratch, and they set sail. Dog asks why they are not moving. A man says they do not have enough food, and Dog says no, that they have too many mouths. Morgan puts alcohol on her wound, and then looks for the latitude coordinates on a map. She runs up and shows her crew, adding that Dog outguns them, but that his ship is heavier and they might have a chance at the coral reef ahead. She collapses, and their medical man says he can't remove the bullet and hopes sealing the wound will save her anyway. William stops them, saying he's a doctor and can save her, telling them to go fetch tools that he'll need. Soon after, while she's in a lot of pain, William manages to get the bullet out. She remarks she's been cruel to him, and thanks him. Morgan says that she was going to go 50-50 with Mordecai if they'd find the treasure. She says she knows he has Mordecai's map, asking him to give it to her, and William replies not until he gets a kiss. They kiss, and then she asks for the map again, but William says he doesn't have it. Upset, she tells him he stinks, and asks the young boy and her crew who happen to come running to get William new clothes. Once they have left, she tells her loyal monkey that she knows William has the map. Dog is getting closer, and as night falls, the horizon is no longer visible as a storm is heading their way. Below deck, William sees that Mordecai's map has the number 1456 in Roman numerals. He tells himself there is nothing at those coordinates, and suddenly Morgan appears. She asks who he really is, and he explains he was born poor and had to become a liar. Morgan calls on the quartermaster and they bring him down below. Meanwhile, John enters the captain's quarters, writing some letter that he sends off by pigeon. The storm starts getting worse, and suddenly Morgan and her closest men are surprised as the rest decide to commit mutiny. As they are lowered down in a longboat, abandoned to die in the storm, William is trying his hardest to get loose below deck, and eventually manages. He runs up, and seeing the others rowing away, he jumps down after. His cries for help however drowns in the loud storm, and he sees the others disappear. Not very long afterwards, they crash into some reefs. The next morning, they note 2 of their men are gone, and they start swinging towards the nearest island. Once there, Morgan remarks it looks like Cutthroat Island, the island which is featured on the maps. Having survived the storm, Dog thanks Scully, the leader of the mutiny against Morgan, for showing where the island was. A while later, Morgan and her crew see Dog's ship, and Morgan says they will follow to the treasure. That night, someone sneaks into Dog's camp, removing the map around his neck. He wakes up, screaming Morgan's name so that the whole camp wakes up. At the top of a hill, Morgan sees William running from the camp. Dog and his men start searching the woods for Morgan. Hours later, Morgan manages to catch up with William, since he's stuck in quicksand. Morgan tells him to hand over the map. He first refuses, but as he seems to be out of options, he finally yields. Morgan scares him a bit first by acting they will leave him there, but makes sure to fish him up at the last second. They gather together to put the maps together, and then read the instructions to find the treasure. Getting very close, they suddenly stumble upon a cliff. While the others keep watch, Morgan and William climb down to see if there is something below them and discover a cave. The quartermaster suddenly hears something and the crew hides. A couple minutes later, the two are met by the sight of gold at the bottom of the cave. They swim up to the treasure, and start laughing out of happiness. They agree to start getting the treasure out of here as fast as possible since Dog might be on their tail. While William ties a treasure chest to the rope, Morgan is surprised to see her crew is gone. Out of nowhere, Dog and her old crew appear. Getting back to the cliff, they see William hanging on the ropes. Dog orders to kill him, but William yells back at him that he might lose the chest if they try. They push Morgan over the cliff, and William is forced to catch her. As Dog tries to bring them both up again, William and Morgan start arguing with each other, but eventually agree upon jumping instead of being captured. They both fall to their demise, and the movie seems to have ended. Dog says that's unfortunate, but is happy they got the treasure. Not very long after, William is awakened by John at the shore. William asks if Morgan is fine, and John says she is and that she told him to go and find him. John says he can lead him to her, but soon after they stumble upon the governor and Dog having teamed up to get the treasure. Asking where Morgan is, John says he has no idea and they are taken away. Somewhere close by, Morgan climbs up some cliffs, seeing John and William as well as her crew being brought back to the ships. Later, the governor tells Dog he will make sure he gets his royal pardon. As they set sail, Morgan is able to sneak aboard. She quickly makes it down below where her men are being held captive. In a surprise attack, she overwhelms the guards and sets her whole crew free. She asks if they are with her if she takes back the ship, and loyal as they are they happily do. Scully and Trotter suddenly hear Morgan's voice asking them if they are good swimmers. Soon after, their swimming skills are tested as they've never been before. Back in her quarters, she calls for King Charles, hearing him make some noises in a small box, asking if he is ready to fight with her. The crew ready themselves for the fight of their lives, and Trotter is told to smile at the wheel. The governor suddenly notices Trotter is closing on them, remarking that poor fool can't even tie his shoes without instructions, ordering Dog to let him catch up to them. Dog feels something is wrong, and orders his man to secretly prepare for battle. He also asks the governor to hang William right now, which the governor thinks would be amusing. Morgan's quartermaster says they will hang William, which Morgan at first wants to prevent, but then stops herself, remarking Dog must be testing them. Suddenly a shot comes out of nowhere, and Morgan is surprised to see it was her quartermaster. Dog says he knew it and orders his men to fire. Suddenly the peaceful silence is disturbed by thunder of 100 cannons firing, and William quickly tries to get out of his predicament. The fight turns into hand-to-hand combat as the ships are brought closer together, and Dog is heard yelling that he loves this. While a man plays the violin in the background, Morgan prepares to make a Hail Mary attempt on stopping Dog. She makes it down below the deck and starts pouring gunpowder around the place. Meanwhile, William is trying to loosen the treasure. She lights it, and as it blows, William is trapped. Morgan's crew starts cutting their ship loose so that it does not follow the other down into the depths. Morgan sees William is stuck and that water is filling the compartment, but is forced to start fighting Dog that has found her. While she fights him, her men manage to capture the last of Dog's crew. They all start watching as Morgan starts climbing up into the mast to evade Dog, but at the top, Dog manages to put her in a tricky spot. He tells her that her father and her uncle Mordecai both were losers, but that she has managed to impress him, asking her to join him. Morgan refuses, and Dog lets her fall. She luckily manages to land quite softly, and attempts to go and help William, who is getting into a more and more serious situation for every second that passes. Dog appears again, telling Morgan he oddly enjoyed killing his brothers. He gets close to her and tells her it is over now. Morgan suddenly picks up a stick and uncovers a cannon, and the next second Dog is flying through the air. She makes her way towards William as quickly as she can, and dives down to give William some air through a kiss before making her best attempt at getting him loose. Using some tool, she eventually manages and William is saved. While he swims for the entrance, Morgan swims down a second time. He wonders what she's doing, telling her that they can't save the treasure, that they have to save themselves. At the very last second, the two are seen jumping from the ship as it explodes to smithereens. A few moments later, William remarks it's sad the treasure is gone, but that it's okay, Because they're both alive, and alive together. Suddenly a barrel floats up, and Morgan jokingly says if he feels that way she will gladly take his share. Later, she says they are all rich and they may go and live their dreams if they want, but asks enthusiastically if they want to stay here with her and continue what they were born to do. No one says a word, and a bit worried she asks the quartermaster if he at least wants to stay. The quartermaster says a bit sad that he would have wanted to stay, but that he's always wanted to do a bit of farming. Worried, she asks if he is serious, and the next second the whole crew starts laughing, yelling hail to the captain. She becomes very glad, after which they all cheer as her and William make out. Morgan asks Trotter if he might take the wheel for the first shift, then yells to prepare to go to Madagascar, and the crew takes their positions. Lastly, she orders William to follow her down to her quarters immediately. The end. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this, and hit the like button to help us out. Until next time, take care.